All right. Hey, everybody. It has been an insane day, not the least of which is because we have a vice presidential nominee for Joe Biden at this point, which I'm going to talk about and I've already been tweeting about. We also are standing by for a Donald Trump press briefing at the bottom of the hour. We have clips and memes and all sorts of different things to look at. And on top of it, I'm in the, as many of you know, for this week, I'm broadcasting from the bunker, as I am calling it, and had some electrical issues today where this stream may end prematurely because I don't want to get into deep electrical stuff. But in short, if I have my laptop plugged in addition to the other equipment, it creates an arc fault. And we're bringing in a very powerful electrician, hopefully tomorrow morning, to deal with some of that because arc faults are very ugly. So basically, I will be able to stream for the duration of my laptop battery. And I know that that's, a very, very scary thing for a lot of people. So we are standing by for Donald Trump, monitoring other streams other than the White House stream. I would love to see, as usual, what's going on in the room. It doesn't yet seem as though Fox News has a live stream going. Not that I am seeing anyway. Oh, wait, here it is. Oh, no, live Kamala is chosen. That's not it. No. Okay, well, we'll keep an eye on that. And if anybody at any point can tell me where we are live, then I am glad to take a look at that. If you're just joining us, where to even start? I guess we should start with Kamala Harris, right? Because Kamala Harris has been selected as Joe Biden's running mate. And this news is, how old is this news? 15 minutes old, roughly. My perspective right now, I mostly outlined in a tweet thread. We can just go through it. Initial reaction to Kamala Harris as Biden's VP pick, who for weeks now I've been saying publicly is the most likely pick. Hello. I'm not patting myself on the back. It's the way, it felt like the energy went away from Elizabeth Warren. And it didn't seem to me that Joe Biden was going to go with someone with lower name recognition. So that's how I ended up with Harris. Second part, her biggest obvious downside is her role in prosecuting the war on drugs. Oh boy, that's sad. While AG of California, Trump will hit her on this, saying he signed the First Step Act, commuted unfair drug sentences, etc., while Biden goes and picks Kamala. 100% that's going to happen. It may even happen in today's press briefing with Donald Trump. Obvious upside is Harris's age. She's 55, relative to Trump and Biden being upper 70s and Mike Pence being a 60-plus white guy, not very interesting. That's the identity sort of analysis. And then we will talk about her being, of course, the first black woman as a VP or presidential nominee. Another upside is that Kamala will absolutely destroy Mike Pence in debates. Now, I want to be really clear. When I say this, I don't mean that Republicans will think that she won. Right? These Trumpists are committed to the idea that Trump and Pence can do no wrong. But for thinking people, rhetorically, Harris is formidable. And then lastly, if Biden-Harris win, and this is a big deal, Gavin Newsom, of course, the governor of California, picks a temporary senator from California who will be a Democrat. Had Elizabeth Warren been the nominee, our Republican governor, Charlie Baker, would have picked a Republican senator to replace her until a special election. When we're looking at whether Democrats can wrestle control of the Senate from Republicans in the fall, if you, in addition, imagine that it ends up 50-50 or even, 50-50 with Biden as the tiebreaker, or it would be Harris as the tiebreaker effectively. And then Charlie Baker says, no, not so fast. If it was Warren as the tiebreaker, I think you know what I mean, then Charlie Baker puts in a Republican and it's 51-49 again. So I don't, that is a very specific strategic reason why I think Harris is better than Warren, but on politics, Warren was the most progressive person of the top tier folks being considered. So that's my thread on Kamala, which you can find on my Twitter page. By the way, not that you guys care, but I really like this. My most successful tweet ever is now at nearly 110,000 likes. I'm not really like good on Twitter, so to speak. So this was great. And it was retweeted by Patton Oswalt and Hugh Laurie, the actor, and a whole bunch of great people. So very, very exciting stuff. Looks like people are already getting the ban hammer dropped on them on YouTube, which is, of course, very, very exciting. Twitch seems pretty calm so far. Oh, although we're almost already at a level 3 hype train over on Twitch, which is fantastic. I have some super chats coming in. Let's look at a couple of them. Erythropathak says, Kamala means orange in India. Keep leadership orange. Okay. Remy Lebreau says, did the Republicans ever intend to pass more pandemic relief, or was the plan always to have Trump seem like a savior while they keep get to work rhetoric? I think that there was a sincere hope, belief among Republicans a couple of months ago that they wouldn't need a second stimulus because the virus would get better. And of course, that hasn't happened. Zachary Foster says, David, there have been some theories that the Gamaleya Institute vaccine by Russia is just the Oxford vaccine based on data that they stole. That's listen, I'm not taking a position yet on the Russian vaccine. The Russian vaccine is out. Reportedly, did I read correctly that Putin's daughter got the vaccine? Listen, I'm not taking a position on that vaccine yet. I have no particular insight into it. And I'm going to wait to hear from doctors about that. Unknown Prodigy says, you are going to crush Sam Cedar for very banal reasons. Or I say banal myself, but you are much better looking than Sam. Wow, that's interesting. I actually have a meme related to that. Let me show you guys a little something. You might find this interesting or you might not. Let me take a look. Just got to pull this up and see how I can get it on screen. Check, somebody sent this to me. Now, this is not real, okay? This is from Sam Cedar sinking to a new low and hosting MSNBC the other day. Breaking news. Pacman calls Cedar a joke. Are bots behind inflated YouTube success? This is really, really ugly stuff. I was hoping that things were not going to get this ugly in the race to a million between me and Sam, but it's possible. I mean, listen, I don't want to speak for Sam, but it's possible he sees himself as being up on the ropes. I am up to 933,000 YouTube subscribers. So he may be upset. He may be upset and he may be resorting to these kind of clickbaity gotcha journalism type segments. And if that's the case, I feel bad for him. I really do. Okay, what else do we have going on here? Oh, somebody made this. Let's see if you guys like this. This would be interesting. Let me put this up here. Let me get it sized properly for us. Is this right? Yeah, there we go. Somebody made this from yesterday's stream.
Revealed just the news. Including too many dead people.
Okay, that's pretty good, right? I think that that's pretty good. I'm only even going to play that once because sometimes people want some people want the repeat. But sometimes I think it's better to do less, leave people wanting more. I think that that one's really, really good. People do like that one. Okay. Yeah, I think that that one's fantastic. That's one of the better memes that we've gotten. Keeping an eye on other streams. Anybody know of another stream of today's press briefing that maybe is live in the room? Fox News is not. The White House feed is often slow to go live. Grandmaster Benjamin Feingold is gifting subscriptions. Can you imagine? That is actually Ben's first gifted sub in the channel. Amazing. I already did comment on Biden choosing Kamala. Yes, I did. If anybody is live in the room, just let me know and I will switch over to that stream. Okay, other things. Here's something else I'm looking at, and I want to. We need a plan. Okay, I don't know what the plan is. I wish I could bring a solution, but I'm really only bringing a question. At the end of October, in fact, here's the date. On October 29th at 8:30 in the morning, that's 5 days before the election, there will be an estimate of Q3 GDP. Okay? Now, we already know how this is going to go. The garbage math, you are going to be hit with the garbage math very powerfully. And the way it's going to go is we lost like 32, 35% GDP in Q2. So if you start at 100 and you lose, call it 30%, you're down to 70. It's quite plausible that we will gain 20%. These are annualized numbers, which is a whole other level, but forget about that. If you're at 70 and you gain 20%, 20% of 70 is 14, that puts you back at 84. Guaranteed, 5 days before the presidential election, Donald Trump is going to come out and say, I have brought us the biggest single quarter GDP growth in the history of the United States. And technically, it's going to be true. Of course, we will still be far below where we were before the virus. And a lot of this will have had nothing to do with Donald Trump anyway, right? So could this actually give the election to Donald Trump? I've said before, we need to be very, very careful about polls that say, by the way, polls like these, which say Biden is up 10, one came out today, Biden is up 13, etc. We need to be very careful about these. Plus 10 with a margin of error of 3.5 means Biden might only be up by 3. This is a registered voter model. Likely voter models tend to be considered more accurate. I don't know anything about GU politics and Biden plus 13. But my point is, if on October 29th, GDP goes plus 20 and Trump takes credit, that's a 5-day period during which you really might be able to swing 1 or 2 points in your direction. Next thing you know, Donald Trump has been reelected to presidency of the United States. So that's going to happen. We need to figure out in advance how to deal with that propaganda. I hope Democrats are thinking about how to deal with that inevitable propaganda, but I don't know exactly what the answer is. A few other super chats are coming in. Let's see here. Eggnogs wants to know if I play WoW or any games. Not really. I'm training for PogChamps 2, which is a chess tournament. But otherwise, I don't really play too many games. Other super chats coming in. Phil Hatio, clever. You ever considered getting on TRT to increase muscle mass? You're looking frail, pale, and female. I worry about you if physically confronted by a Trumpist. My God, I hope that was worth $5 for you. Really, I do. I wish you the best. Man, that's a weird message. Let's see what else we've got here. Super chats. Alex Walker says, why Harris over Rice? Harris's campaign was a dud and she has a lot of baggage. Why not pick someone who's known things we currently need, like repairing global relations or economic expertise? I mean, listen, if Susan Rice had been the pick, it would have been all about Benghazi all over again. So anybody would have had some issues. If it were Warren, it would have been elitist Northeast senator, although she certainly would have been the most progressive. I think that there's always a problem. We are in the middle of a level 5 hype train on Twitch and rapidly approaching 100%. Let me say a few thank yous there. Urged Hardcore says, you're a legend, David. Ignore Ronald Reagan. RD Killa has thrown a Twitch Prime subscription my way. Morbus MIA and Pizza Face Turbo Virgin. Hansy. German. Spudnik 19 is in the action. Neon. A lot of people doing a lot of things in Twitch chat, which is always exciting. I do have, oh, wait a second. Oh, okay, no, hold on. I don't want to fall behind on memberships. Let me say thank you to Christopher Sharp, who is new member number 1 at joinpacman.com, and Oh, that's depressing. It's only Christopher. I don't have anybody else to thank. That's tragic. All right, well, we can get back to that. People asking about Stacey Abrams. I don't believe Stacey Abrams was ever really a contender. I think that she was not experienced enough. Yes, for people wondering, Kamala Harris is Joe Biden's running mate. We're keeping an eye out for other live streams. Let's see if Now This live. Nope, not seeing that. Who else might be live? The Hill live Trump. 22, 23 hours ago. Now, it looks like the only feed we have right now is the White House feed. That's sad. Again, if somebody can communicate to me what feed might be live, it is scheduled to start just 3 minutes from now. Yes. If you are here for a stream, it is scheduled to start at the bottom of the hour, just 3 minutes from now. See if anybody knows of other. No, I'm not seeing anybody direct me to any particular live stream. Yeah, I know he's never on time, but. Okay, yeah, I see people posting links, but those are not allowed in the chat. You can just describe it. I'm not going to go to right side broadcasting. That's a little bit crazy. Okay, well, I guess we'll just wait and see what happens with this stream. Not the end of the world. A couple of clips from the last few days. Oh, C-SPAN, but my question is whether C-SPAN is live in the room. Let's see, C-SPAN live. C-SPAN. I'm not actually seeing that C-SPAN is live. 23 hours ago. Uploads. Older stuff. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Okay, Bloomberg, Trump live. Let's see what we've got. Global Financial News conference. Very nice. All right, let's see if we've got live in the room. That could be great. Here we go. Perfect. Okay, this is, new signs. They've got like green social distancing signs now in the room. Very good. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, I'll do a couple other super chats. Robin Neal says, I joined when you were off air, so add me to your new subscriptions today. LOL, Dave, you are awesome. Okay, I'm willing to do that. Let's see if I can find that. Where is Robin? Not actually seeing Robin anywhere. Unable to verify. Ryan, Susan. Melissa, I apologize. I'm not able to find Robin. How crazy is that? I do want to say thanks to Theo Havercroft. Theo has just signed up and is new member number 2. Joshua Haft is new member number 3 on my website. And that's it. Okay, a couple videos people sent me, things people clipped from recent streams. Always love to hear from you guys and seeing. So this is a little bit of like streamception. This is me yesterday talking about Stephen Kenneth Destiny Bonnell II. I just call him Kenny 2, like for the second, Kenny 2. That's what I'm calling him now. It's shorter. This is me talking about him, talking about my chess coach, Alexandra Botez. Take a list. People seem to like this for some reason. Chess coach is Alexandra Botez. You tell me what you make of this. This seems like there's a little bit of, I don't know if we would call it jealousy or envy, but something seems a little weird. Take a look at this. Right.
Hey, listen, I hope you have fun. I hope you have fun with your new best friend, David Pacman, playing in PogChamps, okay? I hope you guys have a great time over there, and I'll just be over here getting dumped by my fiance, you fucking bitch.
That's pretty aggressive. I don't like how Destiny, he seems rattled and on tilt, quite frankly, by the fact that Alexandra has been coaching me. It's weird. And I'm going to have to probably get a hold of him and see if we can clear some of that up, because that's I don't want things going in that direction with Steven. Right. And, I just think we have to be very, very careful there. A lot of times when I'm just going to turn a light on here. Hold on. There we go. It's a little better. I find myself agreeing with a lot of the things I've previously said on stream. Here's one other one that people like. This is older. I don't even really get this, but let's take a look at it. Sheepy Roman says the Kardashians are lying to you. I don't even know what they're saying. Mateus Veloso, poo-poo Piker browned out in this debate. Pepe laugh. Is that French? I don't know what language that person's speaking. That's a classic David Pakman Show moment. Don't forget it, my friends. That is an instant classic David Pakman Show moment. Hard to imagine a better moment than that, right? I know you guys know it. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, other super chats coming in. Alex Arvanitis asks whether I've heard of spotted lantern flies, that they're an invasive species spreading all over the Northeast, and that they're threatening crops. I have not heard of that. Carissa Gates wants to hear my thoughts on Kamala. That's at the beginning of the stream. And I also have a Twitter thread. Whoop, not that. That's weird. It wasn't that. I also have a Twitter thread, my most recent post, which is a sort of outline of my current thoughts about Kamala. Let's see what else we've got here. Daniel Bonilla, or as we say in Argentina, Bonicia, says, have you thought how Trump's inaugural speech could be read by Biden and it would make perfect sense? It's like he projected his presidency. You know, I haven't thought about that. Daniel also says 1 million subs. Yeah, I see people calling for an update from the standpoint of 1 million. Let me find that for you guys. I do have an updated projection. We are ready to make a projection, sort of like CNN on election night. So let me give you the backstory on this. When we reached 900,000 subscribers 2 weeks ago, the projection from Social Blade was that we would hit 1 million on January 9th. And that started to creep up January 8th, January 6th. It then got pulled into 2020. It was like going to be December 30th, December 25, could have been a Christmas miracle for a Jew like me. And it's been getting pulled. And we are now scheduled to hit 1 million subscribers on YouTube on November 26th, meaning we are 23 days. If we can move it up 23 days with continued acceleration, we will hit 1 million subscribers by Election Day. So that's very exciting, very, very exciting, and something, I mean, listen, I know maybe a lot of y'all don't care, but I'm very much looking forward to it. It would be a huge milestone for the show. Luke Vicinoni says, David, you are hilarious, man. I'm not even sure you mean to be, but you crack me up with your deadpan responses to people's dumb comments. Thank you. What else do we have here? A lot of super chats. Tristan McCoppin says, please don't stop setting up clips by talking before. It acts as a vaccine against Donald Trump Republican gaslighting and spin. Yeah, you know, something interesting happened. I got a few emails from people saying, David, when you play clips on your, you know, the clips you upload in your podcast, you're doing too much setup. In other words, you're talking too much before you play the clip about what we are going to see, and you are tainting, right? People concerned about a taint. You're tainting my view, figuring out what is in the clip. So today, in the clip we published earlier, I did very little introduction. I basically played the clip and then did the analysis. And I got a ton of emails from people saying, I don't like it, David. Please go back to the way you do it, where you actually set it up. And it serves, again, as Tristan is suggesting, maybe as a sort of inoculation, for lack of a better term, which I think it's an idea. I think it's definitely an idea. Jala Hippo has sent a Twitch Prime subscription and says, where is that compilation video someone made of your Twitch moments from a few months back? I remember one clip was you making a female streamer's heart rate go up. Oh, I wish I could find that. If somebody can find that and tell me how to find it, I would love to. I think it's called like David Pakman Boomer, something about Boomer. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see here. David Pakman, favorite boomer, maybe it was. The most likable boomer on Twitch. Yeah, here it is. This is the video people are referring to. It is pretty funny, I think. There's at least a few funny elements.
The premier stream.
People are saying Trump is actually on. Oh my God, sorry.
Governors
Here
of
we go.
these states and cities have an
Sorry about
absolute
that.
duty to use all resources necessary to end the violence and all of the injury and death.
Let
New
me
York
actually go over to a better, more powerful stream. Here we go.
And the law enforcement and the New York's finest are as good as it gets, and they should be allowed to do their job. If they do their job, if they're allowed to do their job, the New York City problem will be solved and be solved quickly. They do it well. The mayor, Bill de Blasio, should immediately hire back all of the police who were fired without justification. They were fired. I guess that's part of defund the police by the Democrats. They should hire New York City's finest back. You have some incredible policemen doing specific jobs that nobody else can do, actually, when it comes to terrorism and other things. Together, the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois have 25,000 police officers, sheriffs, and guardsmen available to quell any violence. They can do it very quickly, very easily, if allowed to do their jobs. Again, if allowed to do their jobs. Our police, our law enforcement is incredible, but they have to be allowed to do their jobs. The Democrats or the radical left Democrats or both, because they're becoming one and the same. If you look at election results, the Democrats are being taken over by the radical left. The city of Portland and the
So this is a new strategy now. Everything's so radical on the Democratic Party.
state of Oregon have 10,000 fine officers and guardsmen available. Seattle, Washington, and Washington State have 10,000 available. So Seattle, city of Seattle, and Washington State itself, they have great people. They have to be allowed to do their job. I'm urging them to deploy these resources to protect their citizens and to stop the violence and all of the things that we watch on television going on, although a lot of the, unfortunately, fake news don't like to put it on because it shows that the Democrats are doing a very bad job of law enforcement. They have to put it on. They have to be honest with the people of this country.
Notice, by the way, that when there's violence and Trump is president, it's the fault of Democrat mayors. But if Biden is president, it will be Biden's fault that there will be violence in cities, not the mayors. Oh, weird.
I'm offering all available federal support requested to stop the violence and arrest the criminals. We have to be asked by the governors or the mayors, and we'll be there very rapidly. It's ready, willing, and able. We're all ready, willing, and able to go to these jurisdictions and take care of them. We'll do them very quickly. You saw what happened in Minneapolis. They ripped the city apart. When the National Guard went in, it ended immediately. It was immediate and lasted. These acts of destruction are not isolated incidents, but demonstrate the pattern of violent left-wing extremism that you get to see if you're watching the right news program.
Slurring.
Under any rational definition, the arson attack on the police precinct in Portland would be considered an act of left-wing domestic terrorism. They really are anarchists. These are left-wing anarchists. They are anarchists.
Oh, boy.
And I'm directing the Department of Justice
Really struggling with that slur. I hope you guys noticed.
to stop these anarchists, immediately to stop them, and to work with the city and the state to get the job done. Local authorities have to investigate and prosecute all of these crimes immediately. We'll work with you. And the local authorities know who they are. They know where they come from. They know a lot about them. They ought to get their act together and get it done, and we're ready to help. If you need that help. You shouldn't need that help, actually. You should be able to do it yourselves and get it done very well. Again, you have excellent police and law enforcement, but you have to let them do their job. What you're seeing in Portland, Seattle, New York, Chicago is really the...
You might all notice that this has nothing to do with Trump's agenda for the second term, coronavirus, making a case for his reelection. It's just, dog whistles.
legislation gutting and hamstringing every police department in America. They want to get rid of your Second Amendment.
Lie.
They want to end cash bail, close prisons,
Well, yeah, that sounds
defund
good.
police departments, or at least largely defund. You see that with New York, $1 billion they took out of their police department, and crime has gone through the roof. And appoint far left prosecutors who side with the criminals and target law abiding citizens. If the left gains power, no city, town, or suburb in our country will be safe. On the vaccine front,
Here we
some
go.
very good news. Today I met with the leaders of Operation Warp Speed, our historic undertaking to produce a safe and effective vaccine in record time.
Will he mention?
We heard an update from the
Russian
top
vaccine.
scientists in the government and the leaders of pharmaceutical companies, which right now aren't too thrilled with me. They're taking millions of dollars worth of ads because I've created a favored nation status for drugs, which is going to reduce drug prices by 40,
Here we
50,
go.
60, and maybe even 70%.
He
in
could do
some
the
cases.
10-cent pill routine.
Numbers that have never been heard of or thought of. So when you see those ads, remember that means your drug prices are coming down. When you see ads attacking your president, it's very simple. That means drug prices are going to be falling very soon.
He seems to be on something.
This evening, I'm pleased to announce that we have reached an agreement with Moderna to manufacture and deliver 100 million doses of their coronavirus vaccine candidate. The federal government will own these vaccine doses. We're buying them. Recently, we also secured partnerships with Johnson & Johnson, as well as Sanofi and GSX to support the large-scale manufacturing of their vaccines, doing very well in those vaccines.
What about Pfizer?
Tremendous promise in every single one of them, and we have many of them. And they're years ahead of schedule. This would have been if it were in the previous administration or any of the previous administrations. Where we are now would have taken years.
I'm shocked he hasn't made a deal with Hepzephahide.
3 vaccine candidates are now in phase 3 trials already, the final stage of clinical trials. This is the final stage. We are investing in the development and manufacture of the top 6 vaccine candidates to ensure rapid delivery. The military is ready to go. They're ready to deliver a vaccine to Americans as soon as one is fully approved by the FDA, and we're moving very close to that approval. We're on track to rapidly produce 100 million doses as soon as the vaccine is approved, and up to 500 million shortly thereafter. So we'll have 600 million doses. Operation Warp Speed is the largest and most advanced operation of its kind anywhere in the world and anywhere in history. We've treated more than 86,000 Americans with convalescent plasma. A recent Mayo Clinic study found that this treatment may produce results which are incredible. We
It's
look
good
to
every
a
time.
reduction and reduced mortality rate by 50%.
Awesome.
And possibly even more than 50%.
Oh, man.
I urge Americans who have recovered from the virus to go to coronavirus.gov and sign up and donate. We would really appreciate that because it's been very successful, unbelievably successful,
Please say it once more.
and we would love you to go and donate.
Donate what?
As we continue to confront the global pandemic, the United States economy is rebounding with strength like nobody thought possible. You've seen the numbers. You see what's going on yesterday, today, and tomorrow, in my opinion. We're very poised for a great third quarter and very poised for some great stock market numbers and 401k numbers and everything else. Today, the Dow Jones passed 28,000 points for the first time, more than a 50% surge since just March. So we've increased by 50% more than since just March. It has gained approximately 9,500 points that same period, March, and has recovered nearly all of its value since the virus struck our nation. Think of that. America's economy is incredible, and its economic recovery is outpacing our peer nations. Last quarter, the European Union's GDP decline was nearly 40%, worse than the United States. So it's 40% worse than the United States. We've built such a strong base that we're able to do things and sustain better than anybody in the world by far. France's GDP decline was nearly 80% worse than ours, and Spain experienced an economic contraction twice as severe as the United States. Nationwide, we continue to see improvements in our fight against the pandemic, very substantial improvements. Since last week, 87% of the counties in the United States report declining cases. Think of that, 87% of the counties in the United States, they reported declining cases. Mortality has declined by 7%, and hospitalizations are declining rapidly. States that were primary hotspots,
Yeah, for people wondering, this is live and it is not slowed down. This is normal speed.
such as Florida, Texas, and Arizona, have reduced cases by nearly 25%. But all Americans must remain vigilant, practice good hygiene, socially distance, wear a mask whenever possible. Whenever you are getting too close to people, wear a mask and protect the elderly. Always protect the elderly. Since the end of July, the 7-day average for cases in the United States has fallen by nearly 20%, but the virus continues to increase in nations across the globe. Last week, France and Germany both recorded their highest daily number of new cases in 3 months. Not that I want to bring that up, but
So this is important. All those places are seeing rising cases, but it's a tiny number compared per capita compared to the US, and they're immediately putting guidelines back in place.
last week, unfortunately, and that is truly unfortunate. It's increased 82% in France, 113%.
He's doing percentages because the numbers are very, very small.
Those are big increases. Cases are also rapidly increasing in the Netherlands, Sweden, Belgium, Switzerland, Slovakia, Estonia, and other European countries.
Visibly struggling.
And in our country, they're going down. We will be seeing that even more rapidly as time goes by, short time. Even though America has the largest at-risk population, including 1.5 million residents of nursing homes, about 5 times that of other European countries, Europe has experienced a nearly 40% higher excess mortality rate than the United States. We also have fewer deaths per capita, excluding the disastrous deaths from the New York tri-state area.
You guys see what he did there? He's just saying, if we don't count all the deaths, our deaths per capita are low.
Which had a very, very hard time.
Fascinating.
And did better than our peer nations of Western Europe, thanks to our excellent and highly advanced medical
Excluding all the people that died, we have a 0 death toll.
care and skill, something that the news doesn't tell you. They don't tell you that. They don't like to tell you that. The United States has now conducted more than 66 million tests, far more than any other nation in the world.
Irrelevant number.
India, which has a population of 1.5 billion people, has done
Since when is India the standard for whether we're doing something well?
24 million. So we're at 66 million. And think of it, India's at 24 million, and India is second. The entire region of Latin America, comprising 33 countries,
Okay, so now you're comparing us to 33 countries.
has conducted 25 million tests, yet Latin America has more confirmed cases by far than the United States. As we safely
Those are countries Trump previously referred to as shithole countries. Now he's saying, hey, we're doing better than them.
restore our great economy and reopen our schools, and hopefully we can watch colleges play football. We want to get football in colleges. These are young, strong people. They won't have a big problem with the China virus. So we want to see college football start, and hopefully a lot of great people are going to be out there. They're going to be out there playing football, and they'll be able to fight it off, and hopefully it won't bother them one bit. Most of them will never get it, statistically.
Okay.
But we know we'll see more cases at some point, and we will eventually develop sufficient immunity in addition to everything else that we're doing. So college football, get out there and play football. People want to see it. And stand for your American flag. Stand for your national anthem.
It's hard to imagine a less ideal sport than football to be playing right now.
Because people are not happy when That doesn't happen. You look at the NBA and what's happening with the NBA and their poor ratings.
NBA's
I
fine.
don't know.
NBA's
Can't
fine.
imagine why, but they didn't stand. They didn't show respect to our flag. They
Respect.
didn't show respect to our national anthem.
Anch.
And maybe that's having an impact, but
I don't think so.
just not good. The NFL had its problems 2 years ago
I didn't even think that the national anthem was televised in basketball. At least it didn't used to be.
when that happened. They went way down in their ratings and their fans, and they struggled back, and now all of a sudden they're putting themselves in the same position. So stand for your flag and stand for the national anthem.
He's basically directing people in terms of what speech is okay.
And I think you're going to do fantastically well. Because a lot of people aren't going to watch if you don't. I'm one of them.
That's untrue.
That's why our strategy and attention
It's not even on
are
TV.
focused on preventing the cases that are most likely to require discussing the opening of schools, hospitalization, or produce any death. We have to maintain vigilance over our elderly population. We've learned that, I think, more than any single event, Scott. We have to
That's right, Scott.
be very vigilant all over, but we have to really protect our elderly population, and especially our elderly population that has problems with heart, lung, any form of sickness, diabetes in particular.
It does a number on the lungs.
And we are at the same time in very good shape with respect to hospital room and hospital overcrowding. We're in great shape. On the nursing home front, protecting our nursing home residents is a critical focus of our strategy. HHS recently announced that they will use the Provider Relief Fund to deliver an additional $5 billion to further protect nursing homes and long-term care facilities as they continue to combat the China virus. We have delivered over 1,800 rapid point-of-care testing devices to nursing homes.
Is it weird that we barely even react to him calling it the China virus anymore?
15,000 Medicare and Medicaid certified nursing homes by the end of September. So they're going to have very, very rapid tests. They won't have to wait around 2 or 3 days or 4 days. And that number has come down very substantially compared to what it was when you send it to the labs. You get very accurate tests, but it takes a period of time to send it, to check it, and then to send it back. But we are now at a position.
Well, they
where
don't send
we're
the test back. They just do
sending
results.
very, very rapid tests, 5 minutes to 15 minutes. We will care for America's seniors as we develop the vaccine and therapeutics are coming along very, very well. We think we have some great answers on therapeutics, and you'll be hearing about them in the very near future. I'm very much into the world of therapeutics, where you go into the hospital
That's his thing.
and you give a shot, or you do what you have to do with it, perhaps transfusion. It's combinations of what you can do, and people get better. I like that very much. I like that very, very much. And that could even proceed in its successful in getting it. That will, I think, probably even precede vaccines.
Verbal
But
ink blot.
therapeutically,
He's
we're
off
doing
the
very,
rails.
very well. A lot of people are going to be very happy when they see some of the numbers that I'm seeing and some of the results.
Yep.
So tremendously
People in the hospital, once he shows them numbers, will be thrilled.
therapeutic front, and our country should be very proud of itself. We're going to get it delivered very rapidly as soon as it comes out. Okay, questions, please? Please,
Thank
go
you,
ahead.
Mr. President. 20 million people are due to be evicted from their homes next month, and do you fear that this could be your Herbert Hoover moment if
He
you
doesn't
do
know
not
who that is.
reach a deal with Congress to set up a new CARES Act?
We are not allowing that to happen. We're stopping evictions. We are stopping evictions. We're not going to let that happen.
And also,
We're not going to evict people. We're not going to let people. The Democrats, maybe they don't care, but I care. And we signed an executive executive order. You know that, right?
Sure.
And we are not
Tell 'em
letting
about
people be evicted.
it was a suggestion.
Thank you, President Trump. If I could have two questions, I'd like to ask you one about Senator Harris's record, and then a different one about visa abuse.
Sure.
So regarding Senator Harris's record, you had a pretty quick response to that. You had an ad out that said that she was a phony, and I wanted to drill down.
She was a what?
A phony.
He doesn't even know.
And I wanted to ask about a specific example that a lot of people thought was a phony moment. As San Francisco DA, she oversaw, according to the Mercury News, 1,900 marijuana convictions. But she was asked in an interview last year if she had smoked marijuana, and she appeared to joke and, according to some people, lie and say that she was listening to Snoop Dogg and Tupac. Well, their music hadn't come out at the time.
Trump has
She
no
said
idea
she
what's
was
going on.
smoking pot, listening to it.
Who you with?
Why would she lie about that? Do you see that as more evidence that is there passed on marijuana a liability?
Well, she lied. I mean, she said things that were untrue. She is a person that's told many stories that weren't true. She's very big into raising taxes.
Sort of like Trump,
She
right?
wants to slash funds for our military at a level that nobody can even believe. She is against fracking. Fracking is...
That's good. Fracking's
she's
terrible.
against petroleum products. I mean,
Beautiful.
how do you do that and go into Pennsylvania or Ohio or Oklahoma or the great state of Texas? She's against fracking. Fracking's a big deal.
He mentioned that twice now.
She's in
was
favor of
weird.
socialized medicine, where you're going to lose your doctors, you're going to lose your plans. She wants to take your health care plans away from 180 million Americans.
That's a lie.
180 million Americans that are very happy with their health
Remember, with Biden's plan, about 35 million more people get health care.
insurance, and she wants to take that away.
And by the way, she's not even for single payer, is she? Is Kamala? I don't think Kamala's for single payer.
So she was my number one pick. I mean, she was, as they would say, because hopefully you'll start college football, she was my number one draft pick. And we'll see how she works out. She did very, very poorly in the primaries, as you know. She was expected to do well. And she ended up at right around 2% and spent a lot of money. She had a lot of things happening. And so I was a little surprised that he picked her. I've been watching her for a long time, and I was a little surprised. She was extraordinarily nasty to Kavanaugh, Judge Kavanaugh then, now Justice
She was brilliant with Kavanaugh, actually. That's why I think she'll crush Pence.
Kavanaugh. She was nasty to a level that was just a horrible thing, the way she treated now Justice
The way she treated Kavanaugh is the one thing that it actually is a saving grace in my mind.
Kavanaugh, and I won't forget that soon. So she did very poorly in the primaries, and now she's chosen. So let's see how that all works out.
Or does the marijuana legalization vote for you rather than her because she convicted so many people in the past?
I can't tell you what she's voting for. I don't think she knows what. I think Joe knows even less than she does. But I was a little surprised at the pick. A lot of people would say that might be the pick. I was more surprised than anything else because she did so poorly. Many people did much better
By definition, the person who gets chosen, unless they weren't in the primary at all, did less well than the person who becomes the nominee, obviously.
than her in the primaries. She did very poorly in the primaries. And that's like a poll. You know, that's like a poll.
Can I also ask you about FISA abuse, President Trump? Yes, about FISA abuse. So now it's widely accepted among Republicans that there was FISA abuse.
Tremendous
The
Pfizer abuse. Yeah.
the
Who
Justice
is this
Department
guy?
IG has found that with the Carter Page Forward application. But we were actually warned in 2013 that the surveillance court was allegedly a rubber stamp, was approving surveillance. And I was wondering, I don't think as president you've commented on Edward Snowden, but do you think he should be allowed to return without going to prison?
So as far as Pfizer abuse is concerned, there was tremendous Pfizer abuse. It's
Pfizer.
amazing that it's taken this long, and everyone knows that it's been proven very substantially. Not only Pfizer abuse, changing documents and putting documents in front of the Pfizer court and courts that are disgraceful that they could have done it. And the fact is, we caught Joe Biden, President Obama, the whole group. You can look at Brennan and Comey and Clapper, the whole group. We caught them spying on our campaign. This was an illegal act like no other illegal act. This was treason.
Biggest crime. Treason.
This
Hang
was
him.
at the highest level of treason.
Hang him up.
And Obama and Biden got caught spying on my campaign,
None of this is
using
true.
intelligence agencies of the United States government to do it, both before and after the election. So before the election, then after I won, they continued. It's total illegal activity, and now we just have to see what's happening. But as far as Kamala is concerned. She's
Kamala.
a big tax raiser. She's a big slasher of funds for our military, and she's got a lot of difficult
Isn't Kamala the drug in Battlestar Galactica?
things that she's going to have to explain. Plus, she was very, very nasty to one of the reasons that surprised me. She was probably nastier than even Pocahontas to Joe Biden. She was very disrespectful to Joe Biden.
That's xenophobic.
And it's hard to pick somebody that's that disrespectful. When she said things during the debates, during the Democrat primary debates, that were horrible about Sleepy Joe. And I would think that he wouldn't have picked. OAN, please.
Uh-oh.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yesterday, Seattle City Council voted to cut funding for their police department. And the police chief there, Carmen Best, the first black woman to serve in that capacity, she resigned hours later. What does this say about our country? What does this say about the defund police movement?
Well, I think that Seattle, in spite of all that they've been through with the embarrassment of having a radical left group, Antifa and others, take over a big portion of the city of Seattle. We're talking about a big city, a major city.
Right.
That they allowed that to happen is incredible. That it took so long to fix is incredible. The only reason they went in is because they knew we were going in the following day. And so they preceded us. They didn't want that to happen. They didn't want to be embarrassed. And the people just gave up. They were exhausted from having taken over a city for so long. The police commissioner seems like a very good woman. They were going to slash her salary by 40 or 50%. And they cut a tremendous amount off the police department, really where people are saying it's not sustainable as a good police department. And again, those police are good also, but they're not allowed to do their job.
You
so
guys
I think
getting
it's a
this?
shame. I hate to see her go because she did, in her own way, a very good job, but she wasn't effective in convincing the mayor and the city council to give the funds that were needed, or just leave the funds the way they are. They've done a big defund, a big part of it. And it'll probably
amazing.
get worse before people realize this is a tragic era, before people start dying and getting hurt very badly. So I think Seattle's made a tragic mistake. I think Portland has no clue as to what they're doing. They have no clue. And hopefully they'll be asking for help because we can solve their problem very, very quickly. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President, two quick questions. One on Senator Harris. Very simply, is she going to help former Vice President Biden's chances in November, or is she not hurt?
Well, I like Vice President Mike Pence much better. He is solid as a rock. He's been a fantastic vice president.
He's going to get
done
crushed
everything you can do
in debates.
He's respected by every religious group, whether it's evangelical, whether it's any other group. They respect Mike Pence. He's been a great vice president.
The Buddhist community loves him.
I will take him over Kamala and the horrible way she, again, treated Justice Kavanaugh. That was a horrible event. I thought it was terrible for her. I thought it was terrible for our nation. I thought she was the meanest, the most horrible, most disrespectful of anybody in the U.S. Senate. She's also known, from what I understand, as being just about the most liberal person in the U.S. Senate. And I would have thought that Biden would have tried to stay away.
So obviously she wasn't even the most liberal senator running this year. Obviously Bernie is to her left and Warren is to her left. This is just idiocy.
Away from that a little bit, because with what they're doing with open borders and sanctuary cities, where they're trying to protect sanctuary cities, which is also protecting large number of criminals, with all of the things that they're doing, Second Amendment, they want to take away your Second Amendment or modify it to a point where it's essentially no longer the Second Amendment.
Does anyone
I would
believe
have
this
thought he would
crap
have gone
anymore?
a different way. Thank you very much, everybody.
Donald Trump cutting it very, very short today, as you can see. Kind of a weird low energy Trump. Yeah, definitely a lot of people picking up on the extreme low energy from the president there. Okay, well, listen, I mean, we didn't get a lot there. Not exactly clear what he's thinking from the standpoint of Kamala, or Kamala, depending on your predilection. But tomorrow on the program, I'm going to have full coverage of the Kamala Harris selection for vice president. You can go back to the beginning of this stream if you want to see my initial thoughts about that. Make no mistake, we are in the middle of a huge battle to get to 1 million subscribers before Sam Seder. If you're heading out on YouTube, there's 22,000 of you right now. Hit that subscribe button on the way out. We're at 933,000 right now. If just a few of you hit subscribe, we could get to 940 like that. Okay? A little humid, so my snapping is not quite so good today. But please do help us in that battle. If you are watching on Twitch, remember to hit that follow button because you guys matter very much as well. And always remember, you can send me memes, clips, and other stuff you want me to review on stream through the contact form at davidpakman.com. And of course, do not forget, the number one way to support all of the work that we do here, the staff, everybody, is to grab a membership at joinpakman.com. I'll see everybody tomorrow. Thanks for joining me. Race to 1 million against Sam Seder. It's happening right now.